The Eagles dominate the Chiefs. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens in New Orleans, where the Eagles beat the Chiefs 40-22. In Super Bowl 59, Philadelphia jumped out to a 24-0 lead in the first half and never looked back. The Chiefs blow a chance to a three-peat. The last time they lost a Super Bowl was to Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. Is this one even more disappointing? Andy Reid.
Yeah, listen, they all hurt. You get this far. You battled your tail off to get this far. Very, very hard to do.
Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts awarded the game's MVP.
Offense was able to score points, to take advantage of opportunities, put points on the board, and then defense played their ass off. They played how they played all year.
NBA, the Bucks with a much-needed win, 135-127 over the 76ers. Damian Lillard with a season-high 43 points.
I told Dame that he needs to be an aggressive scorer and an aggressive playmaker. And that's a hard thing to do.
That's Bucks head coach Doc Rivers. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy with evening flurries, then clearing overnight and cold. Low around 5 above. For tomorrow, mostly sunny, high in the mid-teens. More snow showers possible Wednesday with accumulations, high around 20. Currently 21 degrees.
Hey, it's Amanda with your new Wisco 411, and who's ready to jump into an icy cold lake? Come on, it sounds like fun, right? A polar plunge is a Wisconsin rite of passage, and one's coming up sooner than you think. February 22nd at Prokopsky Boat Launch in De Pere. You can join a bunch of other brave and exciting souls who are ready to take the plunge, supporting more than 1,400 athletes of Special Olympics Wisconsin. Go ahead and register now. Go to WGBW.FM, click events to find out how.
The 2025 draft is almost here, bringing in guests from around the world for this once-in-a-lifetime event. Ready to turn your home into a revenue powerhouse? Simple Life Hospitality makes it easy to rent your home and provides expert, locally managed care, backed by over 50 years of experience. All guests are fully vetted for your peace of mind, so don't miss out. Partner with Simple Life Hospitality today. Visit simpleliferentals.com and make the most of this unforgettable event. That's simpleliferentals.com.
Maggie Dawn.
Whether you voted for Donald Trump or not, do you think what Trump is doing is actually working? I'm going to break it all down about the real strategy.
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who appreciates a nice hot meal at a fair price, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome to Night Light, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday, everybody. Great to have you with me. Great to be back in this chair in front of the mic and talking to all of you once again after a brief bout with a little thing I like to call the flu. Great to be back. Good to see you, Conrad. Did you miss me? Okay.
Of course, I'm kidding.
You know, I've had about enough of your attitude already. Been back for 30 seconds. I'm already getting your sass. Yeah, it is good to be back. You guys had a good time the other night. Aaron Carreno filled in. Thank you to Aaron. Thanks to everybody at the team there for filling in. It was great, and to know that I had support when I lost my voice and had. It's funny when you get sick. You think you've been sick before. Like, I've always thought I had the flu, but what I had was the flu, and I was like, okay, this is what the flu feels like, and it's brutal. And of course, this is the one year I did not get a flu shot, and I have no good excuse. Like, I believe in the flu shot. I just kept kicking it down the road. And this is karma too, Conrad. You remember me saying about a month ago or 5 weeks ago how I never get sick, and I haven't been sick since before COVID. And then I got sick, but it was just a bad cold. I got through it, whatever. I sounded terrible. But then this happened. And oh my God, it's like the universe's way of saying, oh, you think you're a tough guy, huh? Take this. It was horrible.
I got a question. Did you knock on wood?
I just did now.
Well, When you're saying you're a tough guy, you didn't knock on wood.
Oh God, I'm not a tough guy. Believe me, I fully admit that now. And I want to give a shout out too to Nikki Zerjev, who was on with me last Tuesday night. She was coming into the studio, and I didn't feel sick yet, but I felt lethargic, and my wife had the flu at home. So I texted Nikki. 2 minutes later, I hear the door open, and she's already there. And I still said, if you want to go home, that's fine. And Nikki did probably what most of us would do and say, oh, no, it's fine. And she ends up getting sick, and she is miserable, and I feel terrible. So you have to help me think of ways to make that up to her, even though she's being a sport, and she's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's not a big deal. People get sick, whatever. But she was next to me, 2 feet away for like an hour. Tempting fate. So get well soon, Nikki. I hope you're doing okay. All right, enough about me. Let's leave. Conrad, you feeling okay?
There's enough glass, I think, between us.
Yeah.
Last week.
Cold compress too on your forehead last week. That helped. So, all right. Well, let's get to it. We got a great show tonight. It is great to be back. We are broadcasting live statewide from beautiful downtown Green Bay. So wherever you are joining us from in the great state of Wisconsin, welcome. It is Monday night. It is Night Light with Pete Schwaba. Conrad riding shotgun. We got a fun show for you guys tonight at 6:35. Jane, Matt, and Air. One host of the two hosts of Matt and Air on Air, the show that carries her name. Jane will join us at 6:35. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on Matt and Air on Air, and we'll see how Jane is doing, keeping up with the Oscar films and what she thought of the Super Bowl. It's going to be a fun talk. Jane's always a blast, and it's going to be great to have her here on Nightlight. And then at 7:05, Conrad, who do we have?
Well, we have Heather Heil from the Children's Museum of Green Bay.
The one and only. She's great.
Heather's.
She was going to come in, and then I thought, I'm going to stay away one more day. I still have this kind of cough. I don't think I'm contagious. I just could not take the stress of getting somebody else sick, though. So, because Heather was like, this is what Heather said to me. She says, I work in a Petri dish. I'll be fine. Which sounds like a terrible gig, but I still didn't want to risk it. So anyway, Heather will be here via the stream at 7:05. We'll talk to Heather about Valentine's Day in Green Bay, because she's got her finger on the pulse of all things Northeast Wisconsin. And she's also been working her way through the Oscar movies. So we'll see how she's doing. And I can share with her what I've seen. I got a chance to catch up on a few things over the last few days. And then our pal Mike Clemens, Civic Media Sports Authority, joins us at 7:35. You think he's still in New Orleans?
He might be.
Yeah, he was down there for a long time.
Yeah, he might have headed home, right, for the Bucks.
For the Bucks, yeah. We'll talk to Mike at 7:35. Really want to hear about his experience in New Orleans. It looked like a blast. Everything about this past week looked like an absolute blast, except the game. And
Yes.
I have to say, I didn't mind the game. It was fun to watch Kansas City kind of get a beatdown because they were so good. It reminded me a little bit of the first time I saw Mike Tyson lose to Buster Douglas, and you see a champion fall, and it's like you can't really believe what you're seeing. But Philadelphia, when they came out, and then I think it was their second drive stalled, and I was like, oh, they blew it. Now the game's over. Mahomes is going to come back. You got to capitalize. But no, the game was like never in doubt. Would you say?
Yeah, I noticed in the fourth quarter that the Kansas City Chiefs only had 27 rushing yards.
How about that?
It's like
Abysmal.
it didn't look like they had a plan out there. It just didn't.
Right. And what's crazy? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that Patrick Mahomes got sacked a lot, and the Eagles didn't even blitz.
Isn't that something? He got sacked
0% of the
Conrad,
time.
they said like in the fourth quarter, Mahomes has been sacked 6 times. I thought I would have thought 20 because it looked like he was constantly going down. He took a beating, man. Yeah, and you're right. They didn't even blitz, and I didn't know the Eagles were that good. I was like, is Vic Fangio that great of a defensive coordinator? I know he's great, or did they just have this incredible talent on their roster, and maybe it's a combination of both?
That was, every single team in the playoffs before that put up a better fight than the Chiefs did.
That's
interesting. It was
interesting.
a totally different defense that I've seen. Like I haven't seen that defense that good in a while.
Do you think they were cocky? Like, do you think the Chiefs just thought they were going to win it because they knew how to win and they'd been there before?
It kind of seemed like they just went out there. They're just like,
Yeah.
we've done
I
it
would
before.
I would find that hard to believe that professionals like that and a team as good as they are would do that because the Eagles are a good team. But you're right, something was like lacking. It was like this. But I have to say, once the cannonball started, I was like, I'm kind of digging this. It was kind of fun just to watch them rack up the score. I don't know.
Speaking of score, what'd you think of that new scoreboard that they debuted yesterday?
Yeah, what was that all about? Does it look like the Sesame Street letters or something?
That was the worst scoreboard I've seen in all of NFL. That was terrible.
Why did they do that? Did the font guy forget to bring his suitcase or something? Or what happened with that?
They always debut in the Super Bowl the next year's what the scoreboard's going to look like for next year. And
Really?
I really hope they change it up because that I saw so many people commenting on it, like, this is, like I said, the worst I've seen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that looked it looked strange. It looked out of place and outdated, like they were going for a retro look or something. And it's like, all right. But I don't know. I enjoyed the game. It was weird because I wasn't well enough to go to a couple places that we were invited to go. My wife was still recovering from being sick too. So the two of us just sat there and watched the Super Bowl, and it was pure sort of entertainment. We discussed, pardon me, we discussed like who was there, the national anthem. America the Beautiful was gorgeous. I don't know who the artists were, but that was incredible. So we just got to kind of do commentary as it went on. It was pretty relaxing watch, I must say. Great commercials too. And that brings us to tonight's question of the night.
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question. Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Question.
Hey, I have a question. Questions? This question.
Domanda.
Question. Questions.
What was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. What was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? For me, a lot of them, I don't know if you feel this way, but it seems to me so many of the commercials are trying so hard to be outrageous or to do something crazy. And I'm kind of like, all right, it's just, I hate the neediness of it.
Yeah.
And I thought like a lot of them yesterday were like that until I saw Harrison Ford's Jeep commercial. I absolutely love that commercial. Just this old great actor talking, being a regular dude, which I'm told he pretty much is. And I love the way he tagged it at the end. He says, I love Jeep, even though my last name's Ford. It was great. Nice touch. Made you proud to be. It had the message like a lot of the commercials did, where people need to come together. And, regardless of what kind of car you drive, if you drive a hybrid, it doesn't mean this. If you drive a big old pickup, it doesn't mean this. Like, let's all come together. Love the message. Not crazy about the product. I've had a Jeep. But and love the spokesman. Harrison Ford was great. So I would say that was my favorite Super Bowl commercial. What about you, Con?
I really love that Budweiser brought back the horse. And in the trailer, they dropped a keg off the trailer, and the horse brought it to the bar, which I thought was pretty great.
Oh, right, with the guy's telling the joke, right? He's playing pool. The horse. Yeah, that was great.
I like that one. I also liked Seal as a seal singing. I forget what the song title is, but they're drinking Baja Blast on a boat, and then they see Seal as a seal on like a rock, and he's singing. And I thought it was pretty funny. That was pretty good. That one actually made me laugh a little bit. Other than that, I didn't think they were that great, to be honest.
I just wish they'd go back to like something a little more less markety, like trying to be pizzazzy, and it gets over the top and it gets annoying.
Did you see? I forget what brand it was. One of the brands of the toilet papers gave a potty break for their commercial.
I did not see that one.
It said, "Go take your potty break. We know you need to." It was like 20. It counted down for like 20 seconds.
Oh, funny. I missed the cowboy spongy head thing too that a lot of people on social media were talking about. I missed that.
Yeah. was
that good or
creepy.
bad? Was it creepy?
It
I'll
was
have to Google it.
It was a skinhead. It
Okay.
looked weird.
All right. So that's our question of the night, folks. Share with us, please, your favorite Super Bowl commercial from the big game yesterday. It wasn't even a big game. The big spanking, I think it was. It was a very one-sided affair, but all the other pomp and circumstance that go along with the Super Bowl were in full force. So share your thoughts with us at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC, and let us know your favorite Super Bowl commercial. We'll be back very shortly to read your texts and continue our talk about the big game. It's Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Fall. I wanna cry along when you feel blue.
97.9 WGBW and WGBW.FM.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lakeshores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
The fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
There are solutions to the rot in the Supreme Court, and it's a congressional binding code of ethics. There are solutions to the corruption. It's a constitutional amendment to declare that money isn't speech and corporations aren't people, and we can do this. These are things that Americans agree on no matter our party. We all know that presidents aren't kings.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at Red.
Welcome back. It's great to have you with me on this Monday night as we get back into the throw. You know what the worst thing about being sick, Conrad, is that like you think, oh, well, you know, at least you get some time off. No, it's horrible. Like after 2 hours of TV, you don't ever want to watch TV again. And you look at your phone and like I looked at Instagram one day for like an hour and I was done with it for 5 days. Like I couldn't look at it anymore. Everything just sucks.
You get bored really fast.
You get bored fast, and it's like hurts to read. I had no voice, so even if I wanted to talk to my wife, I couldn't talk. It was just like, get your flu shots, people. That's all I could say. Have you heard from Nikki? We should check in on Nikki. I know she's only 1 day behind me, so she might be feeling better.
Today she said it's really kicked her ass.
Was she at work today?
No,
okay.
I texted her earlier today, so.
I mean, just to check on her?
Well, she said I did a good job on Mino and the Mayor this morning. So that was nice.
Very nice. What did you do? Produce, or were you like their sidekick?
I produced. Todd took a vacation.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Okay. Todd deserves a vacation every once in a while. Works pretty hard. So yeah, other than that, I don't know. Like, what did you think of the halftime show?
I mean,
how was that?
It was okay.
All right. So let me ask you this. If you don't like Kendrick's music, I don't know much about his music. I didn't. I know about the feud. doing him and Drake. I kind of read up on that. My kids keep me filled in on that. And I read a lot about entertainment, so I kind of know what's going on. But I know that he's considered the more real dude. He's in his element. And Drake has the reputation of being the more corporate friendly rapper, supposedly. But I was so curious to see what the reaction would be, because I knew it wasn't going to be good from certain people I know on Facebook that were going to have an issue with it. And I got such a kick out of going and reading those, like they can't wait to trash something. And the words I heard the most were couldn't understand a word he was saying. And other people would say, almost like defensively, I liked Prince, but I did not care for that. Like, what? The two aren't even the same music. Like, what are you talking about? Just because they're both black? Like, what is your point? Like, they just want to let you know they're not racist or something. It's like, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. Like, I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was like, again, not knowing the music and not, if I didn't understand something, it wasn't because it wasn't spoken clearly. It's just, I don't know the lyrics. I followed some of it. I heard what he said about 40 acres and a mule. I was like, okay, there's a message in here. And then the more I read about it, I was like, oh man, this is like a whole performance art piece. So I came away just as a casual viewer thinking that was kind of underwhelming or chill almost. But I thought it was cool. But oh my gosh, the Super Bowl halftime show has become so polarizing. It's just music, people. Like, I'm not a huge country fan. When they have country artists on, I watch it and I go, okay. Sometimes I'll talk about it with people I'm sitting with. I don't immediately run to social media and trash country music. I just thought it was kind of sad. But I did enjoy reading all the social media comments. And not so much reading the comments, but seeing the fights that started. That's always fun. I like a good social media brouhaha. So, but I'm with you. I mean, I thought it was a good show. I thought it was really cool. And one of the things I read too is that, I didn't notice this at the time, but all the people dressed in red, white, and blue, the backup dancers, were all black men. There was a message there. There was a message to Lamar. I think there was a message to President Trump, I'm guessing, because Samuel Jackson was like the narrator. So it was definitely a good old-fashioned protest style rock and roll event. But a new face on that. Like a friend of mine said today, it wasn't The Who. Like, no, it wasn't The Who, but it was every bit the message The Who probably had 50 or 60 years ago. That hasn't changed. And just to dismiss it, I found it troubling. If you're watching a football game, the halftime show is the icing on the cake. It's just added, go up, use the restroom, refill your plate. It didn't bother me. I like a show. And that was a good show. Whether I like the music or not, and I don't dislike the music, I'm not familiar with it, but I enjoyed the show. I enjoy the performance. You picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah. I really enjoyed when they like several different artists, like when Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, that was fun.
They had a bunch of different artists all in one halftime show. I really enjoyed that.
I like that too.
Yeah. I also really liked The Weeknd's performance when he did the Super Bowl halftime.
He was good too. Again, I didn't know his music, but a great show. I love what he did with the light and the performance and the presentation. It's great, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you can't expect to like every. Someone today said, "Oh, the Beach Boys are still out there touring." I'm like, the Beach Boys on the Super Bowl halftime show, really? They can barely move. Go see them at a state fair. They're not. You don't want them playing the Super Bowl. That's not going to be a charismatic show. And you got to rotate. It can't be your kind of music every year. But hopefully people would gain some type of appreciation for what someone is trying to do or portray. And maybe that's the route they'll go from now on, because the NFL, if they don't want to offend people, maybe they have to spread it around a little bit or something. I don't know. But I thought it was I thought it was a good show. Going to the text line, Monica from Mount Horeb says, not sure if they replayed it. I can't see, Conrad. I got to pull up my texts. My eyes are still sick. Pardon me. Monica from Mount Horeb says, not sure if they replayed it for the Super Bowl because I was driving during half the game, but the Bill Murray Jeep commercial where he's driving around with a groundhog is hysterical. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you, Monica. And thank you for chiming in as always. Yeah, that I did see that one. That was good. I also saw that that Bill Murray gave his email out and is expecting to get emails from people. So I'll have to go back and look at that one too. Anything from Bill Murray cracks me up though. From the 608, Eagles have been good all year. They beat Green Bay twice. Good point. Very good point. Yeah, they're not a bad team. And we were thinking maybe they took them lightly. Steve from Florida says, my favorite commercial was the Budweiser one where the little Clydesdale sees the keg fall off the wagon and then rolls the lost keg to the bar. Pete, hope you're feeling better very soon. Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that. And thank you for the text. Conrad, your dad likes the same commercial you did. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
All right.
That tracks.
That's our commercial. That's our commercial. That's our question of the night, folks. Let us know what your favorite Super Bowl commercial was. We're coming right back with Matt Nair on Air's Jane Matt Nair. It's Night Light with Pete Schwaba.
This is the talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Governor Tony Evers and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation have announced a $100 million investment in rural road infrastructure. According to a press release, the funding through the Agricultural Roads Improvement Program will support 55 projects across the state and will target aging local roads that serve as transportation corridors for the state's agricultural industry. The program can offer reimbursement of up to 90% of the total cost for eligible projects, which include repairs for roads and bridges used by the agricultural producers. The State Assembly's Education Committee heard public comments last week on bills relating to curriculum, assessment programs, and school board spending. Brittany Merlot has the story.
Assembly Bill 4 would require civics to be implemented in school curriculum in both public and private schools, in elementary and high school grades. They want to teach students about their rights and responsibilities in both Wisconsin and the United States. Also, the process of advocating before government bodies and officials, and knowledge of other nations' government philosophies, like communism and socialism as it compares to democracy. High school students are already required by law to earn a certain number of credits to graduate, and this includes at least 3 credits of social studies. They also need to pass a civics test similar to that of the U.S. citizenship test.
State Superintendent Jill Underly says they have strengthened civics curriculum over the last few years. And while she supports the intent of the legislation, she wants to have further discussions about funding for training and materials if they want to add more requirements. From local news to what's going on around the state, Civic Media's mission is to bring you real news and great conversation. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Conrad Krieger. Top Gun fans are hoping for a third film, but actor Miles Teller told Stephen Colbert he has not heard any updates. The Top Gun 2 actor who plays Rooster in the film did tell the talk show host that he has made one demand of the film star's Tom Cruise. If there is a third film, Teller wants some warning, so he has time to get in shape. Ideally, 1 month per ab, so a total of 6 months. Rumors that the third film is in development have not been confirmed. Demi Moore is nominated for a Best Actress for her role in The Substance, an impressive achievement for someone who was labeled a popcorn actress years ago by producer. Moore talked about her Golden Globe acceptance speech on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, where she mentioned the producer's prediction. Kimmel asked her if she thought the producer, who has since passed away, heard her speech. Moore said, "He's probably rolling over in his grave. Revenge is a dish best served when the other person is still alive, but I'm sure it still feels good." For more showbiz fun, tune into Night Light with Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy with evening flurries, then clearing overnight and cold. Low around 5 above. For tomorrow, mostly sunny, high in the mid-teens. More snow showers possible Wednesday with accumulations high around 20. Currently, it's 19 degrees.
Hey, it's John Mino.
And Jim Schmidt from Mino and the Mayor.
Want to stay in the loop with all things Northeast Wisconsin? Sign up for the WGBW weekly newsletter.
Get the latest local stories, updates on the weather, and a special feature from our Mino and the Mayor podcast.
It's your one-stop shop for real news and great conversation in Northeast Wisconsin.
Log on to WGBW.FM today and get signed up.
Real news, great conversation. Sign up today at WGBW.FM/newsletter. The Maggie Dawn Show.
Open that conversation with this person that you disagree with so much by trying to find the shared value, the thing that you both actually agree about. Challenge yourself to keep bringing it back to the value that we agree on and maybe even the outcome that we wish to see. Go have the tough conversation, because you know what gets better with practice? Those tough conversations.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. John Mino and Jim Schmidt.
On Tuesday's show, we'll put the wraps on our current...
Welcome back. So glad you're here with me tonight, folks. We've got Mike Clemens, Civic Media's sports authority. He will be joining us at 7:35 to help us break down, which was a really thrilling Super Bowl. Everything when it came to the game. Everything was fun except the game. That's what I'm trying to say. And then at 7:05, Green Bay Children's Museum Director of Business Development, Heather Heil, joins us to talk about some fun stuff happening around Green Bay as Valentine's Day approaches. And Heather's been frantically trying to keep up with watching all the best Oscar picture nominees, as am I. So we'll talk about that. And right now I'm excited to welcome my next guest. She's been on the show before, and I've been a guest on her show, which is always fun. She's a very gracious host, along with Greg Bach, on the show that is named in her honor, Jane Matinaire. Matinaire is what I'm talking about, of course. Jane, how are you?
I am well, Pete. Thank you. How about yourself?
Doing very well, thank you. You know, I was out sick last week, Jane, and I most of the time I didn't have a voice, but when I did, it sounded kind of cool, and like I had this like cool thing, and I thought I kind of sound like Jane right now, and I would kill to keep that and have this awesome sounding voice rather than my like kind of squeaky, boyish voice that I typically have.
That you're not being nearly fair enough to yourself. And Pete, the only reason I have this voice is many years of many bad habits. So I wouldn't encourage that for anyone to do that.
Well, listen, I was thinking about taking up smoking anyway. Is that a problem at my age? I mean, how much damage could I really do at this age if I start smoking now, if it gives me a better voice?
We'll have to talk about that later. No, don't start smoking. Don't start smoking.
You have to admit it's pretty cool.
No, it's a waste of money. And boy, I could do it. Yeah. Let's not even go down the pathway of sin taxes, which we did talk about on our show the other day.
Did you?
Yes.
I'm sorry to make you relive your day job here. What do you think about those? Are they a punishment for poor people, or I don't know how I feel about them, to be honest with you.
Well, I think we're kind of selective about what constitutes sin.
Yeah.
And I do. And personally, I think kale chips are a sin. And if I was going to put a tax on something, I would put it on that. What bothers me about it, Pete, is we know without a doubt that tobacco is bad and tobacco has severe consequences. And yet, in my estimation, and I only know some things about many things.
Same.
These taxes are so built into municipalities now and state governments. And if they outlawed tobacco, that would have massive ramifications. So we seem to be okay with selling this poison because of the tax benefits.
Can you even imagine if they tried to outlaw tobacco? How many crabby people would be walking around? Honestly, I don't even want to live in this society because I feel like everybody, ideally you pick a vice that doesn't cost other taxpayers money or, hurt the medical industry with premiums and all that kind of stuff, but everybody's got vices, right? We've all got them.
Well, again, it depends upon what you consider a vice. If you don't drink alcohol, you don't smoke, you don't indulge in any, but do you take medications? I guess to some people that could be considered a vice. Do
Right.
you eat, Doritos? That could be considered a vice. I don't know. I'm not the vice police. Trust me, I'm not the person to be in charge of that.
I'm just saying, just give kale chips a chance, Jane. That's all I'm trying to get across here.
I tried them once. I wasn't.
Not a fan, huh?
I want that. Yeah, the memory lingers.
Hey, it's so great to have you here. What did you think? I mean, I'm assuming you either watched or read about the Super Bowl. Overall thoughts on the broadcast and the whole event?
I watched the commercials. I
Yeah.
did not actually have the game on. I was watching the real game yesterday, which was the Puppy Bowl, and
dear.
Team Fluff came out on top at the very end. It was very exciting.
Came down to the wire, unlike the actual game.
Well, how boring is that? And there's so much hype around that game, and I don't know that, at least with these two teams, because it has been such a regular occurrence, the excitement wasn't there. We talked about it this morning. If the Lions had been playing, I think that would have been
Yeah.
huge. I would have watched
Right.
that game. But to see the Eagles and the Chiefs do it again, it's like, nah, I'll read a book.
The only thing I can say is at least it was a different outcome. And that I was happy about. But you're right. It would have been fun. Like, I thought the Lions were going to march all the way to the Super Bowl this year until they had all those injuries. But I'm not even sure they would have beat that Eagles team. They were phenomenal. So
Yeah.
who knows? But it was fun kind of watching everything. Like, I feel like, we give the public what they want. If they can sell ad spots or this show or that show, they're going to do it. But oh my gosh, the hype surrounding this game is so ridiculous. I watched the game. I didn't even know the Puppy Bowl was still a thing until a bunch of people on social media kept making jokes about it. I'm like, God, enough with the Puppy Bowl. It's been 20 years. And then I see they're still doing it.
21 years of the Puppy Bowl.
Insane.
21 years. Yes, it's fabulous. It
So
just makes me laugh.
You said you watched the commercials. Did you have a favorite commercial, Jane?
No. I really miss the Budweiser frogs. Those are the kinds of commercials that I miss.
Yeah.
We talked about it this morning too, and I don't know if this is my age or just to prove how not hip I still am. The whole Dunkin' thing confused me completely. I don't know who Bill Belichick is standing behind Ben Affleck. It's like that means nothing to me. And so, I just didn't find them as entertaining as they used to be.
I'm totally with you. I don't understand. I think sometimes a guy like Ben Affleck, they think they're so cute and cool and they do this stuff and the commercial is just silly. It's like he's making a commercial for him and 14 of his friends to laugh at. But I'm like going, how is this entertaining on any level except that celebrities are in it? And I need more than that.
Well, has it ever prompted you to actually try a product? They spent
Right.
$8 million on a 30-second commercial, and I can say with almost absolute certainty that has never prompted me to buy or invest or do anything.
I got to go out and get a Long John and a cup of coffee. It's been too long.
Right? I think I do need to use E-Trade.
Yeah,
I think I should. No.
That's great. What did you think about the halftime show? Did you watch the halftime show?
I did not.
Okay. I would love to have heard if you guys were talking about it today or what Greg's thoughts were too, just because it was pretty, somehow that was polarizing as well. I mean, it's just a guy singing a genre that a lot of people don't care for various reasons. I don't know, but it really set some people off on social media and it's just a shame, but you didn't see any of it?
I did not. I
Okay.
certainly read enough things about it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more on Thursday when we have J.R. Radcliffe on from the Journal Sentinel. But I think some of the terms that I've heard flown around, and this is becoming more prominent in many different avenues, are terms like demon, and this is demonic, and it's satanic.
Oh my
And
gosh.
one guy on social media today said it was paganism and Satanism, and I thought, I'm pretty sure those two are mutually exclusive. I don't think you can be a pagan and be a Satanist. Not the same thing. Look it up.
That's what I was telling Conrad earlier. I heard a lot of people saying, listen, I liked Prince a lot, but I don't get this at all. It's like, so you're like qualifying it by saying, I like one black artist, so I can criticize this guy. Like, it just is insane to me. And the first thing people said was couldn't understand a word he was saying. Well, it's not like you couldn't if you really listened, but I don't know. Even some of the bands I love, I can't tell what they're saying during the Super Bowl halftime show. But to me, it had racial overtones, and I just didn't like that. Some of it anyway.
Oh, and I think it's going to get much worse. I mean, he just replaced the head of the Kennedy Center with Rick Grinnell, who I don't know has any. And
right.
That's a whole nother avenue, Pete. We don't have nearly enough time.
No, I know.
And this is supposed to be the lighter part of the evening. I don't want to.
No. And Donald Trump does not need any more words about him or exposure, at least not on this show anyway. But and I wasn't even going toward Trump. I was just saying that some social media followers or friends that I have, I was just surprised at the reaction. But Jane Matnera is my guest. You can catch her every day on the Civic Media Radio Network, hosting her own show, Matnera on Air, that she so expertly does with her co-host Greg Bach, another friend of ours here. You guys have such a good time. Do you have something you just mentioned, Daniel Radcliffe? What else are you excited about this week, Jane?
Tomorrow we have Todd Alba on from
nice.
10:30 to 11. Love him. He also has his own show here on the network from noon until 2. In hour number 2, we have Matt Wild, who is with the mobile market in Milwaukee, which is under the umbrella of the Hunger Task Force. So for the areas in the city that don't have good grocery stores, and there are many of them, they take it around the city and make it easier for people to access food. It will also be interesting to speak to them to find out their concerns about future funding for programs like theirs. Also, this week, Dan Schaefer will be with us on Wednesday. We're moving things around a little bit. And we always close out the show with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. So you never
Great
know
segment.
what that's going to be.
I love that. If you have not heard Jane and Greg do This Shouldn't Be a Thing, that's worth tuning in just for that alone. It's so great. Jane, let's talk about the really important stuff. Movies. How are you doing? I know you like movies. Are you trying to see the Oscar-nominated films, or where are you at with all that?
I'm going to be such a disappointment to you. I did see one. I saw most of Conclave.
Okay. When did you turn it off? Like before the end?
Yes.
Oh.
I looked up the spoiler, so I'm
Okay.
fine. I looked up the spoiler. It doesn't make me wish I had kept it on. I was so bored by that film.
Okay.
The long, quiet conversations. I appreciated Isabella Rossellini as the scary nun, but I went to Catholic grade school. She had nothing on Sister Prosper. I'm sorry, not by a long shot. And I did not find it compelling. You knew something was coming, obviously, that otherwise there would be no film.
Well, that's kind of how I felt about the ending. I was like, I liked the film because of the ending. But if it was just like they decided to choose a pope and there was no twist, I would be like, why am I watching? Like, it's kind of interesting how they do it, but it's not really a film. But and I'm with you about the nuns. I went to Catholic school 16 years and started in the mid 70s. And there was a nun at our school on the northwest side of Chicago who used to tell stories to kids, second graders, about spiders crawling in people's ears while they sleep, and then they never wake up again.
Oh my God.
I mean, right? Why would you say that to second graders? So they can be ruthless.
Yes, they can. Yeah, that I would love to know her motivation for that. That would be that must have been an interesting lesson plan.
If it was to get kids to say their prayers that didn't happen to them, it worked for me. I will say that. So maybe a method.
Please don't let a spider crawl in my ear. Thank you. Good night.
So what is it like working? Is it frustrating, or does Greg ever get intimidated thinking that you might actually be funnier than him?
I hope not.
No.
For one thing, I don't see it as a competition.
Oh, come on, Jane. Not with that attitude.
It's not a competition.
That's why I don't have a co-host.
So to ensure you're always the funniest.
I know, and sometimes Conrad is about to zip a zinger in there, and I have to mute his mic. So it works. It works for us. I'm not saying whatever.
Whatever works for you.
Exactly. So, Jane, are you binge watching anything? Are you in the middle of any kind of cool TV shows?
I'm glad you asked because normally I do not like reality television in any way, shape, or form.
Same.
And in fact, I blame the television show Survival for a lot of the horrible place where we are now in society.
Me
But that
too.
too is a whole nother long conversation.
That's very astute. Hey, Jane, can you hold that thought for 1 second? We'll do a
Of
very quick
course.
break, and then we'll pick it up here. Jane Matnair is my guest. You can catch her show every day here on the Civic Media Radio Network from 10 to noon with Greg Bach. Matnair on Air. It's a great show. Check it out. We'll be back with more with Jane. She's going to tell us about a reality TV show. Brace yourself, folks. It's coming up next. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Are record energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? With limited incomes not keeping up with the lingering effects of inflation, you might be one of tens of thousands of Wisconsin residents who are struggling to survive in the blistering heat of summer or the bitter cold of winter. While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today and call 1-800-506-5596. That's 800-506-5596. Or visit www.kwwf.org.
Keeping you connected to your local community with real news and great conversation. Here's Terry Barr with the Civic Media Radio Network.
If you've never stayed overnight on a dairy farm, would you consider it? The Wisconsin Agricultural Tourism Association hopes you will and is working to position the state as the nation's agricultural tourism destination.
How can we grow agricultural tourism in the state of Wisconsin? Because all of our neighbors are embracing this and they're supporting agricultural tourism because they know it's an economic engine and it makes a huge impact for every taxpayer in our state.
Sheila Everhart is with the association and says from gathering eggs to corn mazes, ag tourism is on the rise. And overnight farm visits kick off as part of the NFL draft in Green Bay. Want to learn more, volunteer, or try your own egg trip? Go to
All right. Jane Matnair is dancing in her own home. She's dancing like no one's watching, but there are people watching on the stream. So take it away, Jane. That was great. Coming up at 7:35, Civic Media Sports Authority, Mike Clemens will be here. I think from New Orleans. I think Mike is still down south, but we'll see.
Probably. Michael's great.
He's so great. Yeah. And then Heather Heil will be here at 7:05. And Jane Matnair is with us now, folks. She was about to tell us what she's watching, and it was reality TV, which I typically am not a huge fan of either, Jane. And I really agree with you. I thought after the first season of Survivor, I was like, well, I'm glad we got that out of the way. Now we can go back to, and then it spawned this boom of reality TV, and now everything's a show.
And it's just gotten worse.
Yeah.
And what annoys me and angers me so much is I think that helped to normalize you can do anything in order to win. It doesn't matter what you do, who you betray, what promises you make. as long as you win, you are rewarded for that and lauded for that. And yes, we've always had anti-heroes in films and things like that, but they usually had a moral core
Right.
that those programs lack, I think.
I agree. It's so funny too, because now really America is a reality show. I don't think people really understand what's at stake with what we're doing and how polarized we are and that kind of thing. So what's the show you're watching?
So it's called Alone Australia.
Huh.
And it's either on Netflix, and I apologize, Pete, it's either on Netflix or on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like it is because they are literally alone. The boat drops them off alone on the western coast of Tasmania, south of Australia, and in the
Jeez.
most inhabitable conditions. And the whole thing is just survive as long as you can, and they can bring 10 things. And it varies from ropes to knives to a salt block, to all kinds of things. And then they're just winging it. And so there is no human to human competition. It's just the person against the elements.
Wow. But it's real. It's not like the camera guy's ready to hand him a sandwich. Like
No.
that's what, because when I first read about Survivor 20 years ago, I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. But I didn't realize it was just games on an island and there's people there looking after you. I don't want anyone to die, but I'm saying there should be a little bit of an element of danger, like it sounds like there is on this show.
Oh, absolutely. And they do actually do med checks. And to see how much weight people have lost and to check
Wow.
their blood pressure because they're catching their own food. And that's where, I would be out in a day. I would,
Yeah, totally.
I'm gone. No one's going to bring me a cooked fish. I'm not going to, no. So I guess it's the tenacity and the creativity, the calmness is amazing to me.
That sounds pretty cool, actually. I'll have to check that out. I love when we get suggestions from people like that I didn't like. I think I may have heard of that now the more I think about it, but we get typically a lot of the same shows. So that's a great recommendation.
I found Nate Bargatze.
Yeah.
Some of his stand-up specials, which I really, really enjoyed. I've been watching some things on YouTube, but I watch Goldsmiths, Pete.
What's that? What's Goldsmiths?
I watch people who are goldsmiths.
Oh, okay.
Who are
Wow.
actual goldsmiths, and they make jewelry by hand, and it's astonishing to me. It's such a craft.
Do you get lost in the reels ever, Jane? Do you go on Instagram and watch reels?
I don't.
Okay.
And I know I'm so not cool, Pete. I go on TikTok once in a while, but I have to mute it because I can't stand everyone shouting at me as I'm going past the it makes me crazy.
My wife is addicted to TikTok. But Nate Bargatze is all over Instagram Reels. Everything is like every fifth video is a Nate Bargatze video. Yeah.
He's great. He's very, very funny.
I agree. Jane, this was fun. Thank you so much, as always. It's always so fun to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure, Pete. Thank you so much. And you're coming on with us next Friday.
Yes. And I will not try to be funnier than either one of you because I don't think that's possible.
It's not a competition. You're very funny. Have you seen Green and Gold yet?
No, I haven't. It's not at the theater here. It's not at my local theater. I don't think you can stream it yet, but I'm excited to see it. Did you tell me about that? You wanted... Yeah. Oh, we were going to talk about that on your show.
I was hoping you'd have a chance. I have an issue. I have a plot issue with the movie, and I really, really liked the movie. We talked about it on my show for a little bit, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So if you have a chance to see it before you come on the show, please do.
I'll do that. When am I on your show again?
I believe it's a week from Friday. I'll ping
I should be able to. All right,
I'll ping you.
I'll ping me, and I'll find a way to see if I can expose your plot point.
Excellent.
All right, fantastic. Jane, thanks so much. Have a great night, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Pete. Take care. Bye, Conrad.
You got it. That's Jane Matnair. Check out Matnair on Air every day. She and Greg are so great to listen to. Have you seen Green and Gold yet, Con?
I did not.
That surprises me that you haven't seen it. I mean, I want to see it, but I can't. There's only so much I can do to see it. It's not available to stream yet.
I had one of those weekends where I just wanted to do nothing.
Yeah. Did you accomplish that?
I stayed at home, and yeah, I've been taking care of my brother's cats too much. I have to go to Appleton all the time. And I was like, you know what? I can relax at home. I put in a sectional, and it's comfy. So.
Oh, you did. Nice going. All right.
Well, it was a free sectional, so.
Free
From
sectional?
Mary Mac. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, from her dumpster. PJ on the stream says, just legalize cannabis and we'll be okay. That was in reference to our, when Jane first came on and we were talking about, what were we talking about, Conrad? That's a funny comment.
Kelp chips.
Kelp chips. Enough cannabis will make even a kale chip. I think it was kale chip. Sound delicious. All right, we'll get to more of your text soon. Coming up after the news, Heather Heil will be here. Always fun to have our pal Heather on, and then Mike Clemens at 7:35. This is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW. Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, many areas in Milwaukee are considered a food desert. That's why there's the mobile market. You'll find out how you can use it yourself. Join us.
Matnair on air, weekday mornings at 10. Mino and the Mayor.
Well, I think everybody's been there because he was sitting there for the longest time. So I just gave him a little beep, and it was green.
Yeah.
I could see he was vaping. It was meant on his vaping thing. And then all of a sudden, he rolls his window and gives me the bird. So I'm trying to get his attention so he can see that I'm giving him the finger too, but I couldn't get my window down.
And you wanted to make sure he could see it.
I was waving to him like, hey, hey. Yeah, exactly.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday mornings 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 and 96.5 WISS and the Civic Media app. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram. This is 97.9 WGBW Denmark, Green Bay's real news and great conversation, a Civic Media radio station.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu.
It's time for our great industries to come back to America. I want them back to America.
President Trump at the White House signing the order levying a tariff on imported steel and aluminum.
Protecting our steel and aluminum industries is a must, and today I'm simplifying our tariffs on steel and aluminum so that everyone can understand exactly what it means. It's 25% without exceptions or exemptions, and that's all countries, no matter where it comes from.
In the Phoenix suburb of Scottsdale, Arizona, officials say a business jet, a Learjet, veered off a runway and collided with a Gulfstream business jet that was parked. Officials confirm at least one person was killed. Gas prices headed higher. The government reports its national average price for regular rose almost a nickel in the past week, now just under $3.13 a gallon. The biggest increases in the lower Atlantic, Midwest, Rocky Mountains, and West Coast. This is ABC News.
Nerds, it's time to come together. I'm Amanda Nimmer, bringing you your new Wisco 411, and this is your time to rise because one of the largest Star Wars fan collections in the world is coming February 1st through April 27th, showcasing iconic characters, vehicles, memorable scenes from the franchise. There are 142 collected items, including a life-size land speeder. Get your tickets for the Multicultural Center's unofficial galaxies from February till the end of April.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. Friday, the Wisconsin Department of Health Services confirmed a second pediatric influenza-associated death. According to health officials, the death occurred during the week of January 26th through February 1st, months after the first confirmed pediatric death in September. The Department of Health Services has been warning residents of higher flu activity this winter. Officials say flu vaccination rates are down this year. Governor Tony Evers and Attorney General Josh Kaul have announced Wisconsin is joining a lawsuit against the Trump administration, Elon Musk, and the Department of Government Efficiency. The lawsuit was filed by a coalition of 19 states and accuses the administration of allowing Musk's team to gain access to the Treasury Department's central payment system in violation of federal law. The system controls funding for programs that Americans depend upon, like Social Security, veterans benefits, and Medicare and Medicaid payments. While there's never been a drug overdose in any of the Oshkosh schools, 18 overdose aid kits have been installed in the middle and high schools of the district. Matt Kemmer, Director of Pupil Services of Oshkosh Schools.
this wasn't in response to a rise in drug use among our students. I think that's a common misconception. And we've actually seen drug use among our students go down over the past decade. But this is more in response to drugs being so much different than they were a decade ago and far more deadly than they were.
The district partnered with the Clinton Global Initiative Overdose Response Network and Start Healing Now to install the kits.
The Eagles win the Super Bowl. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens in New Orleans, where the Eagles beat the Chiefs 40-22. Linebacker Zach Bond from Brown Deer, Wisconsin, and former Badger intercepted a pass just before the half that set up another Eagles touchdown.
When I'm relaxing with my family in Wisconsin, I'm going to think about where I came from, what I did, and where I'm going.
The Chiefs denied the chance to be the first team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
I can't turn the ball over early in the game when it's not going our way, and I'll have to learn from that and try to be better the next opportunity that I hopefully get.
NBA, the Bucks with a win at home, 135-127 over the 76ers. Damian Lillard with a season-high 43 points.
I think I hit my first 2 threes, so, obviously that's a good sign. You hit those couple threes, it feel good. You see the ball go in early. The ball was moving. It was just a good flow to the game, so I felt good because of the flow of the game.
That's the Bucks' Damian Lillard. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Lisa Hale with WGBW News. Your news in depth. Find it in the news section at WGBW.FM.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy with evening flurries, then clearing overnight and cold. Low around 5 above. For tomorrow, mostly sunny, high in the mid-teens. More snow showers possible Wednesday with accumulations, high around 20. Currently, it's 19 degrees.
Mino and the Mayor.
You're sore when you start working out after you haven't been working. Okay, so no big deal.
Did you stretch before you worked out?
Yeah, big time.
You did not. Yeah, see, that's okay. You stretch before and after. And really, your stretch before and after should equal the time you work out.
Okay, hey, Dad.
Mino and the Mayor, weekday morning 6 till 9 on 97.9 WGBW and 98.3 and 96.5 WISS and the Civic Media app.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Todd Albaugh.
Hey, everybody, join us next time. Luke Mathers is on a vacation, so it'll be Tuesday Tangents with you and Aaron Zommers. And headlines of the day. Be with
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy whose house has an actual wiggle room, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back to hour number 2. Great to have you guys with me tonight, and great to be back after a small bout with something or other called the flu. I'm slowly feeling like I can do this again, Conrad. It's like riding a bike.
There you go. I'm proud.
Do you ride a bike?
I haven't in a while, to be honest.
You think you could ride one now?
I can ride one in the gym,
A two-wheeler? Okay. Well, that works.
I guess.
Sure, yeah. Our question tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is what is your favorite Super Bowl commercial from last night's broadcast? I said the Harrison Ford Jeep commercial. Conrad liked the one with the horse comes into the bar and delivers the keg, as did Conrad's father. Interesting. I think they might be in cahoots. Either way, that was a great commercial too. Jim from Appleton says his favorite commercial was the flag football commercial. I think it was Nike. Oh, that's right.
That was a great commercial.
That was a great to make flag football a sport in every state for girls, right?
Yeah.
That was a great commercial, yeah. Tom from New Berlin says, Jane Love. Well said, Tom. Short and to the point, and who doesn't agree with that? Mike Clemens comes up he joins us at 7:35 to talk about the Super Bowl. And, part of the problem with getting sick when I did is I feel like I missed all this fun chat about this huge event that, is kind of fun to talk about on the radio. And I kind of feel like you and Aaron stole my thunder on Friday, Conrad. What do you
There's
think
March
about that?
Madness coming. All right.
Okay.
We can talk about that.
All right, very good. Right now, I'm very excited to welcome a good friend of ours. She is a regular on the show. She usually comes into the studio, but we decided to do this over the stream so I don't get her sick. At least that was my ulterior motivation, even though you can't keep Heather out of the studio. She's just that much of a gamer. She is the business development director at the Green Bay Children's Museum and our good friend, Heather Heil. Heather, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm glad you're feeling better.
I'm getting there. Boy, it's something else. Do you get sick?
Honestly, I've been with the Children's Museum for 13 years. It's kind of a petri dish, so
Yeah.
not very much anymore. It's very rare.
My wife never did either, and she's a teacher. And I think like teachers and people like you that work in those environments have really good immune systems. But this winter, for whatever reason, we didn't get our flu shots. Shame on us. I don't know what we were thinking, but did it back. It sure backfired. It was miserable. But I'm glad you could join me, even if it's not in studio. We'll do studio again next time. So how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Just trying to stay awake today after being up a little bit past my bedtime watching that Super Bowl last night. But
How about that?
I think everyone's kind of in that same boat.
Yeah. What did you think of the Super Bowl?
The game overall I thought was kind of boring. There was really no skin in the game for me. I mean, as much as I like the Detroit Lions, I would have loved to see them play to have something to cheer for. But I did enjoy most of the Super Bowl commercials.
What do you have a favorite commercial?
I had two, I would think, and you'll laugh at this because I like to take notes and do things even when there's no reason to do it. I was grading the commercials as I was going through.
Whoa, that is so OCD and awesome.
I know. And so I was like, man, these people spent $8 million for that commercial.
Wow.
Fired. You get fired tomorrow. I did love the Nike messaging with putting yourself first. If you can't win, so win. I thought that was really positive and powerful messaging. And then, of course, there was a Wanda Sykes commercial about breast cancer. Seeing breast other than when you are just thinking they're fun. So
sure. That commercial in particular was one where, and her voice is so recognizable, but I was kind of just putzing during those commercials. And when she started talking, it like made me stop in my tracks. And I looked at the TV and watched the entire commercial. That was a really powerful ad.
Yeah, agreed. So I thought that the messaging with those things was really pretty great last night.
Excellent choice. You say now, this is interesting because I know you're a huge Packer fan. You're kind of like Mrs. Green Bay. You're married to your Packers, but you still said if the Lions were in it. And that's kind of how I am too. Like the Packers aren't my first team, but I feel like I would cheer for an NFC North team if they made it to the Super Bowl, even if my team didn't. And I applaud you for that.
Yeah, and I probably Bears. I don't know that I could ever cheer for the Vikings if they went to. Well, maybe because they've never been there. But yeah, it just was I had no skin in the game last night.
Where does the hatred? I understand the Chicago Green Bay rivalry. It's so old, and there's a kind of a fun, lighthearted Chicago Wisconsin rivalry. But where does the Viking, like Minnesota and Wisconsin, are such similar states? And Con, feel free to weigh in on this too. But where does the genesis? Where does this start with the Packers and the Vikings? Why is there so much bad blood there?
Personally, I don't know where it started. It clearly started somewhere, but I feel with the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings, those games it's anybody's game. So I think that's why they're just such heated rivalries between each other, because anyone could win those games at any given time.
Okay. That's a very diplomatic answer. How are you feeling about the draft? Are you going to be involved in that in any way? Or is pretty much everyone in the community going to be, whether they want to or not, involved in pulling off this draft that's coming up?
I really believe so. There are so
Yeah.
many wonderful things, and we're trying to really put our best foot forward and welcome people to our community. I have put my name in the ring to help out where I can. I have not been notified yet, so I will probably instead be a part of the problem and be out there watching and doing and experiencing and having fun with that. But if there were an opportunity for me to do something, I would volunteer in a heartbeat.
Like in terms of bringing your business development background to the program or offering your couch, what are you willing to do? Just about anything to help get this done?
I well, not my home, unless I know you. However, I'm there to help with whatever is needed for the team. I and the city. I would absolutely do any of those things. I really would love to like be security, like beefy
Oh, that'd
security.
be
Like,
sweet.
let me see your badge before you
That
come
would
in.
be pretty cool. But
Right?
don't you think it'd be kind of cool if you had like Roger Goodell wanted to use your height a bet or something? Like let's say a
I
big,
would.
huge oversight. The
Mhm.
commissioner doesn't have a room.
Oh shoot! Yes, I would welcome him in with open arms because we would have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, no kidding. Heather Hiles, my guest. She's the business director of development at the Green Bay Children's Museum. And I love that you said, like, I had so much stuff I wanted to talk to you about tonight, but you said, I really would like to talk about movies because you're getting through the Best Picture nominees. So let's compare and contrast. I've seen 7. I have 3 to go.
Shoot, see, I'm only 3 in. I am so behind, Pete, and so thankful for
Uh,
the snowstorm this weekend because it gave me time to stop.
yeah,
But it's so, for me, it's culturally important for me to watch all of these films
good for you.
because they have been nominated for some reason. And I challenge anyone out there watching or listening to do the same thing. They are uncomfortable. Some of them are boring, but they are topics that just really make you stop and think and see some of the best performances and movies that you've ever seen. The ones that I've seen, Pete, as far as cinematography goes, has been unbelievably mind blowing. I watched Conclave
Okay.
yesterday, and I thought it was, I mean, kind of boring, but beautifully, beautifully done. It was like a picture the entire time.
That's interesting. I liked it. Yeah, I thought I was just talking to Jane Matt Nair about this, and I thought without the ending they had, I don't know that I would have liked it that much, but
Mhm.
I kind of thought that was a cool ending, and I thought it was, what I find interesting about that movie, just from a polarization standpoint, is that audiences loved it, Catholics and non-Catholics, which
Yeah.
gave me a little bit of hope. Like, okay, they're okay with the ending, and like it was, I liked it overall, but because of the ending, I think so. That's interesting. You say that.
Yeah, it was slow to get through, but I also am a huge Stanley Tucci fan,
Love
so
them.
love him in everything.
He
So
is great.
um, that also was probably my boring factor that made me through that. But um, I also this weekend watched The Substance.
Me too. Okay, you first.
Um, so gory. I didn't realize
Awful.
the gore. I had a really I had to look away. How about you?
It was absolutely grotesque. I thought, like, I've had critics on from time to time that will say, well, it's a horror film, things go wrong. And I'm like, oh, what are skin droops or something?
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Much, much worse. It escalates into this. It reminded me of a film called Reanimator from the 80s, where it was just like, it was so grotesque.
I just and I didn't I mean my definition of horror is scary and pushing you beyond bound, but this was just visually a lot.
Yeah.
I have a pretty tough stomach, but I had a hard time. I had to, like I said, shut my eyes. I did find it fascinating though how I didn't find it to be a feminist film. I know that some of the reviews did say that about Demi Moore, I think should win from watching that for her
She was good.
performance. She was really fantastic in that. Lots of nudity, very shocking, but the feminine self-hatred and how we let others define us, I thought was really pivotal in that. And I kind of thought about the Ozempic pandemic that a lot of people are choosing
Right.
with that movie that women are in because this is what the film was related to are so wanting to alter their bodies for outside perception of that's the limits they'll take it to.
Isn't that crazy? And that's what it was. I mean, some people even said, well, it's a funny horror film. I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was sad that this woman, and for those of you who aren't aware, Demi Moore plays a fitness guru who reaches the age of 50 and she decides to take this substance to tap back into her youth, and it's supposed to make her look different, but it's much more than that. It's a big process, and it's things get carried away. I didn't like pardon me. I don't think as a movie I loved it. I thought it got really crazy at the end, where I
Yes.
was just like, this is no longer about the parody, or that it just kind of got off the rails for me. But she was great, and I thought it was really gross.
Yeah,
So I thought well
agreed.
said.
But I do feel it's worth watching. Just know you are just, I had to pause it a few times and again look away. So,
Yeah.
but again, very, very interesting. And then the last one that I've seen, Pete, is Amelia Perez. I watched that on Netflix.
Perfect. I just watched that too. I finished that last week when I was home under the weather. So let's pick it up there, Heather.
Okay.
Heather Heil is here. We're talking about Oscar films. She's seen 3. I have 3 to go, but you just watched the same ones I just saw. So these are all fresh in my mind. And we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. Our question tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is what was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? Let us know at 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. It's Nightlight on a Monday night, coming to you live from downtown Green Bay, wherever you are in the beautiful state of Wisconsin. We're coming right back on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Building tower foresight isn't anything at all. Fly the sky and sell the sky and bleed the sky and tell the sky.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for the Maggie Dawn Show.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Donald Trump is president again, and Democrats need to take a new approach to combat this presidency. Part of that is recognizing the realignment of how we arrived here. In last year's election, one thing Trump did successfully was turn out people who might not otherwise vote. In Wisconsin, he increased his vote share in all 72 counties en route to the largest popular vote total in state history. How did he do this? Well, as I see it, there are 2 factions of Republicans. One is the more traditional country club Republicans. The other is the newer group, what I'm calling the pro-wrestling Republicans. In my latest column, I wrote about how Donald Trump transformed the party by prioritizing the pro-wrestling Republicans, and why recognizing this new reality is critical to Democrats' ability to grab a steel chair of their own and fight back. Subscribe and read it now at the Recombobulation Area.
Hey there, this is Carrie Joy with today's Work Money Minute and a little bit of tough love about investing in collectibles. I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. Collectibles are just not good investments. Comic books, Beanie Babies, World War II memorabilia, American Girl doll stuff. They just don't math out as investments. Now, collecting as a hobby that brings you joy is perfectly fine if you can afford it. Just don't confuse the fun of the hunt with the potential for profits. And importantly, they are illiquid, meaning you can't turn it into cash in a pinch like you can with a real security like a stock. Now, I'm not saying you got to stop collecting whatever you enjoy. Just make sure you're paying down your high-interest debt like credit cards and saving for retirement. For more tips on saving more and spending less, search up Work Money Media on YouTube.
Welcome back. Oh, getting through a Monday night with some Set Adrift. Good choice, Conrad. My name is Pete Schwaba. This is Nightlight. Great to have you with me on this Monday night, post Super Bowl, post holidays. Heather Heil is here. Heather, what do we look forward to before we jump into Amelia Perez? We've got the holidays in the rear view, the Super Bowl. Unless you love St. Patrick's Day or Easter, what do we have to look forward to between now and summer?
The days are getting longer, Pete. The
Yes.
days are getting longer.
Very well said. See, Conrad, you didn't want to have Heather on, and I said no. She always
Conrad.
contributes.
What? That's not
Conrad,
true.
you're going to eat your words because I have some Valentine's Day things that you are totally going to want to do, and I was thinking of you.
That is a great answer. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, Conrad will take. I'm a bad gift getter, so anything you can throw Conrad's way, just sign it from both of us if you would. So, all right, Heather Heil is here. She is my guest right now. She works at the Green Bay Children's Museum, where she is the director of business development. Always great to have her on the show. What did you think of Emilia Perez? This got 13 Oscar nominations, and I just saw it too. You can go first, though.
I feel like, well, first and foremost, I didn't realize it was a musical crime thriller. So,
Right.
so that took me back a little bit. A lot of subtitles, and not that that's bad that there's subtitles, but when you're not expecting it,
But sometimes two sets of subtitles. When they're singing, you've got the italicized
Yes.
subtitles, and then they're speaking Spanish, you've got the other subtitles. It can be confusing at times.
it that was hard. But I also really loved that it was basically about three women in Mexico pursuing their happiness in different ways. So, and I do love a good musical. I just wasn't expecting any of that. It was
Yeah.
very bizarre to me. But again, that culture, and one of the characters is a drug lord, trans person. So again, just very, very topical.
Right. Well, and here's where I'm at. When I first read what the film was about, and for those of you that don't know, um, a drug cartel leader wants to have a sex change operation and hires Zoe Saldana to facilitate it, find the surgeon, hide his money, fake his death, and then he's going to live the rest of his life as a woman. And he's going to take care of his kids and his wife, and they'll be taken care of. That I found fascinating. I'm like, I have to watch this. Well, then I found out, wait a minute, it's a musical. Oh, wait a minute. And then I didn't like the look of it at first. And there are parts of the movie that are fascinating, like where he's a woman now, but he's not really a different person. He still wants to control his kids, and he comes back in their lives and says he's their aunt, and things get complicated. And Zoe Saldana's really good. But it just I didn't love it as a movie.
I didn't either. I am a big Selena Gomez fan as well, so I love that
Yeah.
she was in it. I thought she did really great with her role. Um, yeah, but I agree with you, Pete. It was just very different to watch.
Yeah, a bit of an unsatisfying ending too,
Yeah.
but I love the element of it. Like, are you really okay? You're changing your appearance and your gender, but does that make you a different person? And it didn't in this movie. Like, she was still vindictive.
But she was trying with the things that she was doing. I feel with her
Right.
good deeds, she was just trying to be happy and not be that awful drug lord anymore.
Correct. And it didn't really work out very well, but I
No,
won't spoil the
it's
ending or
not.
anything.
Yes. Yes.
So what's next on your agenda? You've got 7 films left. You've got about 4 weeks, not
I
quite
know.
4 weeks.
I was really glad that you called, and was looking to you of which ones I need to make sure I get in there.
All right. Here's what I would say.
Yes.
Not necessarily in this order. I would say you got to see A Complete Unknown. Really
Mhm.
liked it. Really just a good movie, whether you're a Bob Dylan fan or not.
Yes.
I went to see it with my parents who are in their early 80s, and they were not huge Dylan fans, and they're his age. But they liked the movie too. It was just a really, really well done movie. I liked Wicked. It was really entertaining. I don't know if I would vote for Best Picture, but I think it's something you'll like. Honora is another one I'd be interested to talk to you about, because this is about an exotic dancer who meets the son of a Russian oligarch, and they have this fling and decide to get married, and then things kind of go off the rails, and the kid's parents aren't very happy. I really have become a huge fan of Sean Baker's work, the director, but I thought his other film, A Florida Project, was much better than this. This was entertaining, but and I haven't seen The Brutalist yet, but those are the ones I haven't seen. The Brutalist or Nickel Boys. Here's another film I like though, Heather. I really liked A Real Pain.
A Real Pain. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one with Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg.
Okay.
For some reason, it's not showing up here on my list, but it's very good. Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture, but it was really entertaining.
Yeah, and again, I like to be uncomfortable and be pushed and broaden my mind. So that's
Yeah.
this time of year is for me. Plus, I love award show season. So when it's on, what is it, March 2nd, to watch along and see
Yeah,
who
it's coming
wins.
up. It's
Yeah.
coming up. Hey, before we let you go, what's going on at
Mm.
the Children's Museum? Anything you can tell us about?
Yeah, well, we have with Valentine's Day coming up, we'd have a Galentine's Day
Oh, I
thing
love it.
for 21 and older. It's on February 13th from 6 to 8. We do ask that you register. It's $22 a person, and with that, you get 2 drinks. We do have non-alcoholic drinks available too, but we'll have wine and beverages, some charcuterie. You can explore the exhibits and see what the museum is all about with your friends, and some fun craft projects that you can take home with you. So you can find that on our website, and come on out with the girls for Valentine's Day.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes. And also, like for you, all Valentine's doing, the couples thing, just my like heartfelt advice is just let your Valentine be seen. So Pete, see Conrad, acknowledge him, and just, yeah, maybe send him a Venmo for coffee or something,
All
but
right.
let them be seen. All right.
Now you're making it weird. You know what we'll do though?
Or
Maybe
buy
we'll
him some eggs.
Oh, yeah, I can't afford eggs. But maybe we'll come over one of these days and visit you in your petri dish.
I would love that.
I think
That
that
would
could
be
be
my
fun.
favorite. For real. You should.
Heather, you're so much fun. Thank you very much. All
Thank
right,
you.
Heather Heil. Visit the Green Bay Children's Museum. It's a great place. She does a great job. And watch movies with us, folks. We're coming back after the news with Mike Clemens, Civic Media Sports Authority, on the Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
From De Pere to Swamico, 97.9 WGBW. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. The man at the center of the Netflix series Making a Murderer, Stephen Avery, is appealing the latest denial of a new hearing or trial. The 62-year-old was convicted for the 2005 murder of Teresa Halbach. His most recent appeal argues that there is an alternate suspect in the murder. That appeal was denied last month. Avery's attorney filed an appeal motion Friday with the Wisconsin Supreme Court, saying the case has, quote, special and important reasons for the High Court to review it. In case you haven't been paying attention, the Super Bowl was yesterday. The Eagles beat the Chiefs, and now the NFL can start focusing on Draft 2025. The event is expected to bring hundreds of thousands of people to the Green Bay area in April. Mayor Eric Genrich says that the only issue he's seeing right now is in transportation.
Patty Kiewitz, who runs our transit service here within the city of Green Bay, does a fantastic job, has a really good plan. But we have an undersized transit system in comparison to a Detroit or a Kansas City or some of these other communities. And so we're going to be waiting for some more, I think, more detailed plans from the NFL talking about how they're going to get people throughout the community.
Genrich made his comments in a recent episode of Lean Local with Jim Schmidt, airing Sundays at 1 on WGBW. The Oshkosh Area School District has scheduled a series of informational and question and answer sessions about the $197.8 million referendum on the April 1st ballot. The district says the referendum will fund improvements to student safety and learning spaces at a $0 increase to tax levies. The first of the meetings is scheduled for Tuesday, February 11th. See our story at WGBW.FM for more information. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Conrad Krieger. Adam Scott is on a roll. The Severance star is returning to the film genre that gave him a start. Scott is signed on to the project to play a horror novelist who visits an Irish inn to disperse his parents' ashes, only to find out it's haunted. Hawcom will be directed by Irish director Damien McCarthy, who directed last year's critically acclaimed Oddity. Scott got his start in the genre with a 1996 Hellraiser Bloodline. This film is still in pre-production. Adrian Brody says the makeup artist of The Brutalist tried to remove his prosthetic nose. The only problem is, it was not prosthetic. Apparently, Brody's real nose looked fake to the makeup artist. The Oscar-nominated actor told Jimmy Fallon he asked her if she was trying to remove that, and she said yes, and he said it doesn't come off. Brody says he and the makeup artist had a laugh after she said, "This is going in my diary," and Brody said that this is going in his talk show repertoire. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Cloudy with evening flurries, then clearing overnight and cold. Low around 5 above. For tomorrow, mostly sunny, high in the mid-teens. More snow showers possible Wednesday with accumulations, high around 20. Currently it's 17 degrees.
The 2025 draft is almost here, bringing in guests from around the world for this once-in-a-lifetime event. Ready to turn your home into a revenue powerhouse? Simple Life Hospitality makes it easy to rent your home and provides expert, locally managed care, backed by over 50 years of experience. All guests are fully vetted for your peace of mind, so don't miss out. Partner with Simple Life Hospitality today. Visit simpleliferentals.com and make the most of this unforgettable event. That's simpleliferentals.com.
Appleton Cigar Company on College Avenue has been serving the community for over 25 years. If you are a cigar aficionado looking for a one-of-a-kind experience, you need to check out Appleton Cigar, which boasts the largest selection of cigars north of Milwaukee with over 706 cigars to choose from in a walk-in humidor. The Cigar Lounge offers an impressive variety of spirits and cocktails that pair perfectly with a premium cigar. For the full experience, come to Appleton Cigar at 415 College Ave, Monday through Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. For more information, go to appletoncigar.com.
Done.
Will Travis Kelce retire or won't he? How did Zach Bond do? What is the next big thing we have to look forward to in the NFL? Those are all questions that I'm hoping our next guest can answer. He is the Civic Media Sports Authority, and he joins us now on the phone, Mr. Mike Clemens. Mike, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you feeling better?
Oh, man, I'm getting there. I feel a step slow, but I'm getting through it, man. It's just good to be on the air again. I've been so bored the last 5 days. So thank you for asking, though.
Yeah, no, I know teams that are going through it. You know, like NBA teams, football teams. They're through the end. So whatever.
I heard the Eagles were having a bout, or it was going through the Eagles, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to make Kansas City three-peat. And then that thrashing happened last night, so I don't know if it was true or not. But how's it going down there?
Yeah, well, you know, Jalen Carter. Suddenly was not available. I was looking for him because I just wanted to get to know him. I didn't want to talk about the Georgia car accident. I figured that was covered territory. But I just think he's just such a force as a football player. And I was asking around to some of the beat reporters, one that used to work with us in Milwaukee and Green Bay, and now she works in Philadelphia. And I said, "Did you see 98? No. I thought maybe you had. No. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, he was a no-show due to illness, they say. He was like limited in practice. Seemed to look good in the game.
Yeah.
But I wondered if the Eagles just wanted to let him not take questions from national guys or, you know, guys shooting from the hip to kind of, you know, review the car accident from a couple of years ago. He was in a car accident. They were speeding. A friend of his in the car was killed. He did not go to the authorities right away, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Anyway, his stock dropped quite a bit in the draft, but the Eagles went ahead and took him, and they said, "Yeah, we know it's kind of controversial, but we're going to work with this kid." And here's Howie Roseman there lifting the Lombardi again, right?
Jeez. They were like the perfect team to take him too, right, Mike? Because they had all these veterans, and he was seemed like he was all over the place as a young guy. But boy, he sure had a nice moment with the coach last night after the game. It seems like he's kind of growing up a little bit.
I didn't see that. What happened?
They just shared a moment. It was a hug, and I think it was a couple words, and they gave each other a big smile. It was just a nice moment because I remember thinking, "Oh, I hope my team doesn't draft him," because he was going, as talented as he was, that car accident, and then he heard he had this pension for driving fast everywhere he went. You're like, "Oh my gosh, it's trouble."
He might be the next Arnold. I mean, he's just, he throws two linemen around at a time from his defensive tackle position. He clogs up things, and that was what was so amazing last night, is that you would watch Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense, and they were running stunts. They were crisscrossing, but Vic Fangio, he just was sending four straight, and he might have some little technique to say, okay, it's just straight ahead, but this guy seems to struggle if they're coming in on the right shoulder than the left shoulder. So aim for this, do this with your hands. You might have small little technique, things like that. So it's really cool because I got to, visit with Vic Fangio twice and sort of get to know him a little bit more. He's this guy who, is just legendary, going from team to team, and then had a head coach gig there for a while. But all these coaches just really, they talk very highly of him. He's got this great record for defenses, except he was 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes until last night.
Wow.
And then he just, shattered him. But Fangio is this guy who's very matter of fact. He would be like a good chemistry teacher at the board, just right to the point, like a math teacher, right?
Yeah.
But then I asked him about Zach Vaughn. I said, how about this guy who went to Brown Deer High School on the north side of Milwaukee, played quarterback. When he got to Madison to play for the Badgers, they said, you might be better off playing linebacker. So they switched him over to linebacker. He got drafted by the Saints. The Saints only used him as a special teams player. So he signed a one-year deal with the Eagles. And Vic Fangio, this, one of the top defensive coordinators of all time, says, I see something in this kid. And look at him with that pick against the Packers, leading in tackles, and then a pick like that in the Super Bowl. What a stud. What a story this guy's had.
Yeah, he had like 6 sacks too this year. He's only 28. I mean, the guy it's phenomenal. But the Eagles just plugged in all these guys, Cooper DeJean and like everybody. And maybe it's Fangio, Mike, like what you were saying. He is kind of a legendary defensive coordinator, but man, he gets guys to play together.
Yeah, when Cooper had that pick last night, Andy Herman, who does, I don't know if his one's a pack a day or something like that, he's a podcaster. He says, well, there's a lot of people going to say the Packers should have taken him, but like it's an old joke or something. But it's like, Andy, yeah, they should have taken him. I mean, before that interception last night, they should have taken him because look what happened. Eric Stokes is still not the same, 2 years after a serious leg injury that had him in a wheelchair and pins coming out of his knees for the first several weeks. Jair Alexander hurt again, missed half the games. You needed some help there, and Carrington Valentine is not the answer. So a lot of the draft experts thought, oh, you know what, Green Bay, they like to take these kinds of guys, and from Iowa, the Kirk Ferentz program, and we think that he'll go at 25. And he didn't. He had a broken leg in his senior year at Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that was part of the reason, but he went 40th in the second round to the Eagles. And look at that kid last night. He's returning punts. He's a good cover guy, and he's only going to get better. And and a smart player. So I sat down with him and had a nice 10-minute conversation. I've got like a little podcast going now, so if people don't miss this stuff, they can catch it on there. So
where can they hear it, Mike? Is it on the Civic Media website? Where can people hear that?
Yeah, no, it's like on Spotify, I think.
Okay.
A friend set it up for me, but if it's Googled, it's Mike Clemens Packers Report.
Okay.
And yeah, we should get it hooked up to our Civic Media website too, so that would be an easy way to find. I sat down with him, and I posted this a couple of nights ago. because here's a kid that he's born in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They moved to this Old Bolt, Iowa, population 985. I said, how many kids were in your class? He said, I graduated with 80 kids. Did you have enough for the football team? He says, yeah, we played 11. We played 11. But, I played quarterback, I played safety, and I kicked,
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
And he just turned 22. So that's 3 years ago,
and he turned 22, on the Super Bowl, and
Right.
and he walked into the game yesterday wearing his high school letter jacket from Old Bolt,
Oh my
Iowa.
gosh.
Isn't
That's
that
a great
He's
story.
like Clark Kent. He's like Clark Kent.
Mike, what else did you hear down there? Are there rumors about Travis Kelce retiring, or did anything big happen during the week that we might find interesting? You must have had a really fun week down there.
There's like 100 stories. I mean, you get up at about 6:30 or 7, and you dash in, and we have to rent a house because the rooms are just too expensive downtown.
Okay.
And so we rented a house that ended up being right on the Gulf in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi.
Hmm.
And then you take the long bridge that goes over Lake Pontchartrain. Remember the song "In the Heart of the Night" from Poco?
Oh yeah.
Good tune. Good tune.
Great tune,
It's
yeah.
talking about that area. And then you get in, and then you've got to go through security, and like the tightest TSA type security you've ever been in. Unfortunately, with things that like happen on New Year's Day,
Right.
in New Orleans around the Cotton Bowl, and so you go from one press conference to another. But during the Super Bowl week, these football players and coaches and anybody else there, the season's over now. I mean, there's one game left, and they open up, and they've reached the mountaintop, and they talk all about their lives and influences, and they give you great stories, and it's just, by 9 o'clock at night, you've gone to your last press conference or whatever, and you don't know where to start. And then I work
Yeah.
till 2 or 3 in the morning, and I get done, and maybe if I get 3 hours of sleep somewhere in there, or take a nap here and there. But it's like that for 7 days because it's just you meet so much. Little things. I turn around. There's an interview show that's on television, and the name of the host is Graham Bessinger. Have you seen him? He does one-on-one interviews,
Maybe.
usually with sports athletes.
Okay.
It's like on Sunday nights at 10:30. Graham Bessinger. Google it because he's got an amazing lineup. I just saw his uncut version. The show's a half hour long and syndicated. But he sat down and talked to Bob Costas for over an hour. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I didn't know that Costas was kind of a bookie in high school. That his old
Oh,
man
really?
had gotten into gambling. His father had gotten into gambling so bad that they had to move out of New York because the rough guys were after him. They had to move to the Midwest. That's how he got sort of.
Is that right? Wow.
KMOX. Oh, just. It's like great stories like that all the time. I get them every year when I go to the Super Bowl. So I got to meet Graham and talk about his show, and he does 18 of them a year. And he's talked to like every major athlete that's around.
That's so cool. What, Mike? So I assume now, at least in Northeast Wisconsin or the state of Wisconsin, all the eyes turn to the draft, which is right around the corner. I know we got free agency and the combine and that, but when will you start gearing up to cover that?
I just got done working 7 days a week since training camp, right? And the guys that do the draft, on Saturdays, there's a lot of. I'm just being fully honest.
Yeah.
On Saturdays, I'm usually, every other weekend, I'm at an airport, and the draft guys, of course, are watching 5 college games.
Right.
So I usually rely on some of those guys. I've got a friend named Chad Reuter, who is just a draft Nick, as we call it.
Right.
Here's a guy who 20 years ago, Pete, he's like a computer programming guy, but he would, watch college games, and then he'd see some of these scouting guides that came out that were on the store shelf, like at a Walgreens or whatever, a newsstand. And he said, "I said garbage." I was like, "Did they even watch these games?" So he started doing his own scouting. He would watch the college games, and because he's good on a computer and good on the internet, he started dialing around. And he said there's a lot of information out there that you can get, like times and weights and wingspans and measurements and that kind of thing. So he started putting out this guide. It was about 600 pages, and he would email it to us, and we would download and talk about it. Then he started selling them. Started selling the guides. One day he got a knock on his door in his apartment in Madison, and it was two guys in black suits. They were NFL security. And
Whoa.
they said, "Where are you getting this stuff?" The league was convinced this guy was hacking into team scouting reports. Today he works for the NFL.
Oh, that's a
He's that
great
good.
story.
Yeah.
That is
He's been a scout
fantastic.
for the Broncos. Yeah, he quit the day job. Chad Reuter is his name. He writes a column at NFL.com. So that's a guy that I've met about 20 years ago, and if I start seeing things I'm interested in, I'll call him. I said, "Do you think Green Bay has no interest in that guy?" And he goes, because he spent all last week at the Senior Bowl, and I can't go to the Senior Bowl and Super Bowl at the same time.
Right.
So yeah.
Mike, I want to ask you, I don't know what your thoughts were on the halftime show, but I thought I saw a really cool video today. I want to just ask you about it regarding Kendrick Lamar. So no pressure. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, it's no big deal, but we'll have another couple minutes left with Mike Clemens after a very short break here on Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
If we could fly away on wings to a place where all could be true, and the sky were blue,
To the talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home for Matt and Air on Air.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of active liver.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to new, NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New year, new you, New Nordic.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. The Army National Guard has taught me the value of showing respect to those I come in contact with each day. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threats. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed and accomplish the mission. Plus, the Army National Guard education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the
Welcome back. I'm Pete Schwaba. This is Nightlight. Great to have you with me on this Monday night. If you want to get a quick text in under the wire, our question of the night is, what was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? Right now, we have a couple more minutes with our pal Mike Clemens. He's the Civic Media Sports Authority, still down in New Orleans. Did a great job all week covering the Super Bowl. Mike, I saw this video today. I think it was on Yahoo Entertainment or whatever, but Kendrick Lamar, they were whisking him off the field, and these security guards were shouting at the NFL halftime crew, "Get out of the way, get out of the way." Like, it was like someone had just made an attempt on his life or something. But there had to be 20 security personnel around him. It was intense. Did you happen to notice that, or were you anywhere near that or aware of it?
No, I watched some of the program. I went to his press conference last week to learn a little about him.
Okay.
I want to tell you, hey, I got to go to the Super Bowl. You think about to have fun and a big game and lots of personalities and all that. I couldn't help but just feel a little bit more brokenhearted. And it wasn't so long ago that you went to Washington D.C. and if you went to our nation's capital, you could just walk into the building like a public library in
Yeah,
Wausau.
no
You
kidding.
just walk, or a post office. It was
Right.
just a government building. And now these places are fortresses, Pete. I mean, the
Yeah.
concrete and the locks and the checks. And then I have to look into a camera and it has to identify me. And then I've got, scanned stuff on my credentials that they have to look at. And then my, the media shuttle bus, with approved guys, and there's about 10 or 50 of us legacy media. Yeah, because we actually get off our butts and actually report. We don't
Right,
just
right.
sit at home with equipment we bought at Best Buy and make
Right.
up a bunch of conspiracy theories. All right.
Jeez.
So we're on this bus and we're going to the Eagles press conference in the afternoon in the downtown hotel. They have these temporary gates now. They've got one at American Family Field. It's a big, heavy chunk of metal. It kind of looks like a bridge, but it goes up, and they can move it around. They can pull it off a truck and set it up and turn it into a car bomb or truck bomb proof bridge. It's a fence that goes up. It goes up to about your waist.
Wow.
So they had that thing there, and they were about to lower it, but the guys make our bus driver stop, and I'm like, well, what are we going to stop now for? Because it's all these stops and all these security checks, and it's because they had two agents with bomb-sniffing dogs that had to look underneath the media shuttle bus with the bomb-sniffing dogs, and 15 of us goofy, reporters, media people, producers and stuff.
Right.
And it's just, it's just so sad. I mean, it seems like the more we build walls and the more security we have, and I'm all in favor of security. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. I want TSA to make sure there's no guns or bombs getting on that plane.
Right.
We should have had that before. We should have had that before 9/11. But it just seems like the more walls we build up, the more crazies we seem to develop.
Yeah, you're right. It just escalates everything. And I don't know what you do, but because I'm with you, I want to make sure I'm secure, or at least be told I'm secure, but it's, yeah, that's very well
So
said,
in
Mike.
terms of his security, I could, it was everywhere, and and I guess Trump was in the building. I saw him
Yeah.
enter in the field during the pregame, but I don't know if they put him up on the scoreboard. I was looking at a football game with binoculars and taking down notes, so I know.
Yeah.
This was funny. I saw Paul McCartney getting on either like a concourse or entering a suite. And it's like, man, that looks like McCartney. And then he turned and was going in the door. I was like, oh, that's McCartney. How about that? And there's a couple of people around him. And then later they put his picture up on the scoreboard, and he was there. And Kevin Hart, the comedian.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga, I saw her. Apparently she had sang a song earlier in the day or something.
Right.
And then there's Kevin Costner, Mr. Field of Dreams, Mr. What's that series he did?
Waterworld.
It's not
Yellowstone.
no,
Yeah.
No. Yeah, Yellowstone. And sitting next to him is Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, I
I'm
saw that.
thinking,
Yeah.
remember that game you play with your kids? One of these things don't belong.
Right.
Is it because he was with Kim for like 8 or 9 months? He's now a tier A celebrity, so
I have no idea.
But I didn't know anything about Kendrick Lamar. And so I did a little studying and found out, yeah, he won Record of the Year last weekend at the Grammys. He's won 22 Grammys. He's also won a Pulitzer for his work.
How about that?
And the thing is that he's a rapper who, and I went to his press conference, the halftime press conference, and the host there just interviewed him, and he had a brilliant statement. He said, you know, I'm from Compton. There are guys in there that are so inarticulate and so full of anger and frustration, either because they come from broken families or the drugs or the violence or whatever, that they can't express themselves. And it dawned on me, these guys, I've got the talent. I know how to tell these stories. It dawned on me, I need to be their voice. So it's very heavy stuff. I don't know if that's for a football game, but, you know, whatever. The league gave this guy a huge platform, and a lot more people know who he is. And you know, maybe he's got a point.
And it didn't stop him last night, regardless of the venue. He let his thoughts be heard, and it was pretty powerful stuff. Mike, thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah.
Appreciate you jumping on. I know you've had a long week. Hope you get some rest, and keep up the absolutely outstanding work, my friend.
Thank you, Pete. I love Nightlight. Take care. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, Mike. That's Mike Clemens. Conrad, how much time do we have?
We have about 30 seconds.
All right. I'm off my game. We have about 3 or 4 texts I did not get to, folks. We will get to those tomorrow. We'll do those in the opening tomorrow. We'll switch it up.
There we go.
So, Bridget, Steady Eddie, Anna, you are not forgotten about. It was just great to talk to Mike and get his thoughts from the Super Bowl, and I kind of ran out of time, so I apologize. And Steve from Milwaukee will read your text tomorrow as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks to Mike Clemens, Heather Heil, and Jane Matnair. And thank you to the lovable producer, Conrad. We'll be back tomorrow night to do this all over again. It's Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Good night, Wisconsin.